He, through the ideal's kingdoms, moved at will, accepted their beauty and their greatness bore, partook of the glories of their wonder fields, but passed nor stayed beneath their splendor's rule. So Ashwapati is moving through these ideal kingdoms, and he's moving at will. He's already a seer. He's already a great sage. He's the epitome of tapasya. And he's passed through everything already. And now we're getting towards the end of book 2 and this great world stair that he has climbed not only up, but down. And now he's in the ideal kingdoms. Very important. And he's moving at will. He's accepting their beauty and he's bearing their greatness. Bore, of course, past tense of to bear. Partook, and this is, of course, past tense of partakes. Takes or has a part or share in, participates in something. Partook of the glories of their wonder fields, but passed nor stayed beneath their splendor's rule. Because he hasn't found the ultimate as yet. We need a few more cantos to find that. All there was an intense but partial light. In each, a seraph-winged, high-browed idea, and note that he capitalizes idea. And of course, seraph is the highest, a member of the highest order of angels, we could say. And they're often represented as a child's head with wings above, below, and on each side. Interesting, the seraphs. And we have many songs, hymns actually, to these seraphs. But here, it's only a seraph-winged, high-browed idea that has united all knowledge by one master thought, persuaded all action to one golden sense, all powers subjected to a single power, and made a world where it could reign alone, an absolute, ideal's perfect home. Wow. So we see that Ashwapati is experiencing there an intense but partial light. And he's seeing all these different ideas, especially the seraph-winged, high-browed idea that united all knowledge by one master thought, persuaded all action to one golden sense, all powers subjected to a single power, and made a world where it could reign alone. An absolute, ideal's perfect home. Insignia. An insignia is a badge or an emblem of office or rank, a distinguishing sign, we might say. Insignia of their victory and their faith, they offered to the traveler at their gates a quenchless flame or an unfading flower, emblem of a high kingdom's privilege. Who is this traveler? It's Ashwapati. And he's at their gates. And they are offering him a great offer, we would think, a quenchless flame, an unfading flower, an emblem of a high kingdom's privilege. Now, Sri Aurobindo is taking us into this angel of the way, a glorious, shining angel of the way, presented to the seeking of the soul, the sweetness and the might of an idea, each deemed truth's intimate fount and summit force, the heart of the meaning of the universe, perfection's key, passport to paradise. They're offering him quite a lot. They're presenting to Ashwapati's seeking, to the seeking of the soul, the sweetness and the might of an idea. Notice that Sri Aurobindo does not capitalize idea in this line. So each of these things is deemed the intimate fount of truth and its summit force, as well as the heart of the meaning of the universe, perfection's key, passport to paradise. Yet were there regions where these absolutes met and made a circle of bliss with married hands. Light stood embraced by light, fire wedded fire. But none in the other would his body lose, to find his soul in the world's single soul. A multiplied rapture of infinity. And I think tonight we should look into this world, into this word, soul. We haven't done it to date, and Sri Aurobindo has so much to say about it, especially in his letters on yoga. He goes into it very deeply. So let me take some minutes to go through. All of these are from his letters on yoga. The word soul, as also the word psychic, is used very vaguely and in many different senses in the English language. More often than not, in ordinary parlance, no clear distinction is made between mind and soul. And often there is even more serious confusion, for the vital being of desire, the false soul or desire soul, is intended by the word soul and psychic, and not the true soul, the psychic being, the term that Sri Aurobindo coined, the psychic being. Again, another letter. The word soul is very vaguely used in English, as it often refers to the whole non-physical consciousness, including even the vital, with all its desires and passions. That was why the word psychic being has to be used, so as to distinguish this divine portion from the instrumental parts of the nature. Third letter on yoga. The word soul has various meanings according to the context. It may mean the Purusha, supporting the formation of Prakriti, which we call a being, though the proper word would be rather a becoming. It may mean, on the other hand, specifically the psychic being in an evolutionary creature like man. It may mean the spark of the divine, which has been put into matter by the descent of the divine into the material world, and which upholds all evolving formations here. And now the fourth. A distinction has to be made between the soul in its essence and the psychic being. Behind each and all, there is the soul, which is the spark of the divine. None could exist without that. But it is quite possible to have a vital and physical being supported by such a soul essence, but without a clearly evolved psychic being behind it. This is so important. Now, the soul and the psychic being are practically the same, except that even in things which have not developed a psychic being, there is still a spark of the divine, which can be called the soul. The psychic being is called in Sanskrit the Purusha in the heart, or the Chaitya Purusha. The psychic being is the soul developing in the evolution. And lastly, the final letter on yoga. The soul or spark is there before the development of an organized vital and mind. The soul is something of the divine that descends into the evolution as a divine principle within it to support the evolution of the individual out of the ignorance into the light. It develops in the course of the evolution a psychic individual or soul individuality which grows from life to life, using the evolving mind, vital, and body as its instruments. It is the soul that is immortal, while the rest disintegrates. It passes from life to life, carrying its experience in essence and the continuity of the evolution of the individual. I think that gives us quite a bit. There is more. There's a lot in the Life Divine, a lot in the synthesis, and a few things in the essays on the Gita also. But let me continue. So we had here, but none in the other would his body lose, to find his soul in the world's single soul, a multiplied rapture of infinity. So in this heavens of the ideal, none would be willing to go to the extent of finding his soul in the world's single soul, because he wouldn't lose in the other his body. And that would be a multiplied rapture of infinity. So Ashwapati is now moving on. Onward he passed to a diviner sphere. There, joined in a common greatness, light and bliss, all high and beautiful and desirable powers, forgetting their difference and their separate reign, become a single multitudinous whole. So now he has reached that point. It's a diviner sphere. And all has joined here in a common greatness, light, and bliss. And all high and beautiful and desirable powers forget their difference and their separate reign and become a single multitudinous whole. Above the parting of the roads of time, above the silence and its thousandfold word, in the immutable and inviolate truth, forever united and inseparable, the radiant children of eternity dwell on the wide spirit height where all are one. End of Canto 12. So may I ask someone to read? There's quite a lot to read here. And I believe we started at, was it 280?
I can read.
281, yes. Okay. He through the ideal's kingdoms.
He through the ideal kingdoms moved at will, accepted their beauty and their greatness bore, partook of the glories of their wonder fields, but passed not nor stayed beneath their splendor's rule. All there was an intense but partial light. In each, a seraph winged high broad idea, united all knowledge by one master thought, persuaded all action to one golden sense, all powers subjected to a single power, and made a world where it could reign alone, an absolute ideal's perfect home, insignia of their victory and their faith. They offered to the traveler at their gates a quenchless flame or an unfading flower, emblem of a high kingdom's privilege, a glorious shining angel of the way, presented to the seeking of the soul, the sweetness and the might of an idea, each deemed truth's intimate fount, and summit force, the heart of the meaning of the universe. Perfection's key passport to paradise, yet were there regions where these absolutes met and made a circle of bliss with married hands. Light stood embraced by light, fire wedded fire. But none in the other would his body lose, to find his soul in the world's single soul, a multiplied rapture of infinity. Onward he passed to a diviner sphere, there joined in a common greatness, light and bliss, all high and beautiful and desirable powers, forgetting their difference and their separate reign, come a single multitudinous whole above the
Multitudinous.
multi,
Multitudinous.
multitudinous whole, above the parting of the roads of time, above the silence and its thousandfold word, in the immutable and inviolate truth, forever united and inseparable. The radiant children of eternity dwell on the wide spirit height where all are one. Thank you.
Thank you for reading. Your pronunciation is excellent.
Thank
The only suggestion I would make is that be more aware of the periods, the colons, the semicolons, and don't run one line so quickly into the next line.
Okay, I'll slow down. Okay.
And
Thank
that will help you greatly in your reading. And it will therefore become a little slower also.
Okay, we'll do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think there was a question. Did you see it?
Yes. What is the difference between world soul and oversoul?
Well, the oversoul, Sri Aurobindo does speak of it at times, and I can get that for you in just a second. Because we should always use Sri Aurobindo's definitions. And I'll get it here. Okay. Oversoul, Sri Aurobindo. But with the extension of our knowledge, we discover what this spirit or oversoul is. It is ultimately our own highest, deepest, vastest self, capital S. It is apparent on its summits or by reflection in ourselves as such Chidananda, creating us and the world by the power of his divine knowledge will, spiritual, supramental, truth conscious, infinite. And this is from The Life Divine. Now I have something else from his essays in philosophy and yoga. We are ignorant also of the superconscient, that which we ordinarily call spirit or oversoul. Yet this we find to be our highest and widest self, Satchidananda, creating and governing all that we are and become by his divine Maya. And if you would like world soul, I can get that for you also. Now, Sri Aurobindo doesn't have an exact definition of the world soul, but he speaks of the world energy and the world force. And I think these things, if you look them up in the lexicon, you'll see that he often very, very often hyphenates world. He has, of course, world soul, but he also has world puissance, world rapture, world see, world self, world shape. So I think there are more than 50 words in which he creates a new word by hyphenating world. So we must understand as best we can that the world is the great game of hide and seek, in which the real hides behind the apparent, spirit behind matter. All world is an expression or manifestation, creation by the word. That's in his book, The Secret of the Veda. Vladimir, we have only a couple minutes left. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, this is something all my life is puzzling me, because there's the heavens of the ideal, then there is the self of mind, and then there is the world soul.
Yes.
This kind of self of mind in between is really something I never could totally understand, because the world soul and the heavens of the ideal somehow relate. You know, the world soul most probably is more a quintessential psychic realm, where he meets the mother finally, because the mother is that, fundamental quality of the psychic being. And here also the same, it ends with the same thing, the radiant children of eternity dwell. This is like our souls are dwelling there.
Exactly, yes.
So, and in between we have this, in the self of mind, which is about Manomaya Purusha and the breaking of the intuition through the sealing of our mind. This is something which most probably he left to be discovered by experience, I guess.
Yeah. Yes.
Because if we go from level to level, follow his world stairs, this is really the most puzzling thing, why the self of mind is in between these two, the heavens of the ideal and the world soul.
But he does speak volumes on the self, capital S.
Right.
And for me, in his letter on yoga, is so beautiful. The self is being, not a being. By self is meant the conscious, essential existence, one in all. Thank you all. Namaste.
Thank you, Narad.
Thank you. Namaste.
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 Thank you. Thank you very much for the answer. Thank you.